to God. Welcome to the podcast. In this episode, we're talking about Mother's Day. So,
we tried last week, but we had technical issues, and so we're doing it today.
We're doing it today, and then logistical issues too at the same time. A lot of people's been busy. I think I just sit back because it's just like it records everything just fine. So this is episode 1. Happy to be here, and we're going to talk about mothers. Good old mothers.
We both have one.
I think everybody in the world has a mother.
I hope so.
I would hope so too, unless you're born. What is that? Asexual? No.
Immaculate conception?
Maybe.
Well, no, because that's what Jesus was, right? I don't know. I think you would have to be cloned to not have a mother, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So, don't be a clone. Let's not be a clone.
But neither of our mothers are still with us.
Nope, not at all. We're the last of the Mohicans. And then the kid's got to pass it off. And I only have one son, because I was stingy with, is in my testicles. So,
And I only have one son.
that's a coinkydink.
And my brother has one son.
There's nothing wrong with having one child. Unless, like, most people that I've known, they don't know how to stop breeding. I don't know what's wrong with them. My dude, I wouldn't even say my dude. An ex-friend of mine, dealt with him on business ventures, totally screwed me over, but I knew the reason why at the end. He had 10 kids.
That's a lot of children.
That's not employees.
It's a lot of tax write-offs.
Right.
My adopted sister has 5 children, and 2 daughters and 3 sons.
Wow.
Which I think is a lot of kids too.
Yeah, me too. Definitely a lot of kids. Don't have a lot of kids unless you got a farm. Or you got a Chinese restaurant.
Well, if you space them right, they can look after each other.
Yeah. Sheltered responsibility through siblings.
Yeah. But do we want to do any sort of introduction about ourselves since this is the first episode?
Hi, I'm God to God, a.k.a. government name Marquand Moorhead.
And I'm Colleen Kopp. I have no AKA.
Yeah, known as. So, I'm... let's get started. Me personally, I'm a producer, engineer, author, writer, MC, and I'm also a psychic, and I don't like it. I'm a psychic, I don't like it. So I don't, but it's alright. It has its benefits, but it has a lot of drawbacks. Being a channeler, of course. And somehow my life got involved with a blue god named Lord Shiva. And I grew up Christian and Southern Baptist. I had family members that was trying to make me Jehovah's Witness, all kind of craziness. So, other than that, somehow I have the ability to channel Lord Shiva. But this is my base personality as Marquand Moorhead. So this is the introduction of my personality and psyche and my mental stability to be able to keep translating what they're speaking through me. And I mean not only just Shiva that I channel, Kali and Parvati, Durga, Ganesh, and it's been a fun ride for the past 10 years, and I don't like it. It's annoying. But they have a lot of information in here, and why is my phone going off? I thought I silenced everything in here.
I don't know.
Well, we're going to hear a lot of that, so let's keep continuing. Colleen?
So I'm Colleen Kopp. By day, I'm a process engineer advisor, which means I look at how we do business and make recommendations on how to do it better. But on the side, I have a business called Next Level Hypnosis. And with Next Level Hypnosis, I obviously do hypnosis with clients. I also do life coaching and some other techniques, like one called BWRT, which stands for Brain Working Recursive Technique. Marquand and I have been together 3 years?
Yeah.
3 years. And it's been an interesting ride.
Yep, it has.
So.
All thanks to mothers. So.
Well, we wouldn't be here without them.
Yep, and the guys that stick around or actually put in the work to be a good father to, no matter what circumstances that, two people that have a baby go through. I didn't have that luxury to have the full-on fatherly experience because my mother, my child, was pretty much taking care of my son the whole time while I'm trying to figure out how to stay out of jail. Yeah, growing up, having a child when you're 19 and not knowing the consequences or not seeing the future of even your own possibility, let alone your child, and you're just out here ripping and running the streets and hustling and dealing and stealing and being stupid. But that's a part of growing up, though. I've learned from it all. Yay! Thank you, Jan, my mom. You brought me into a world where, influence is here. Peer pressure.
And our sons are about the same age.
Yeah.
But I did not have mine until I was 27.
Yeah. That's because I'm younger than you.
Yes.
So.
I guess I'm robbing the cradle.
Robbing the cradle.
So, what is one thing that you miss about your mom?
My mom?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I probably just miss hanging out with her when she wasn't drunk or high on something harder than weed, of course. So other than that, when she was like grounded, she was a cool person. That's kind of what I miss about her, because we could just talk to her about it. She wasn't more like a mother. She was more like a dude, like a friend, a roommate. You just know it's a female and it's bigger than you and taller, and you know that she can whoop your ass, and you just deal with it. Even as I got older, as 20-year-old, 30-year-old, there's things about her that she passed away. There's things about her that I do miss, but it's not that much, because again, she wasn't the type of motherly material. There's an episode of I forgot what the 80s shows was. It wasn't One Day at a Time. I think it was Punky Brewster or something.
Yeah.
And there was an episode where this woman, she knew she was a deadbeat. I'm pretty sure it was One Day at a Time, because it wasn't Punky Brewster. She was homeless, living out in an apartment. You go, girl. But anyways, but she had a friend on there that showed up. She's a co-star. She wasn't the main star of the show. I forgot the lady's name that played the main role in the show, but, she had this child. She was not trying to be involved with her life, and explained to her friend, like, I just want to go out and kick it. I just want to have fun. I'm not really made for this. This just happened.
And you feel like that was your mom?
That's my mom. And she had 3 of us. Well, actually 4 of us. Actually 5 of us. But my first sister passed away during crib death back in 1985, I believe, or 84. So that was a point for it. Like, if any mother experienced a child's death, I've never seen my mom cry in my life until that day, and that was the last time I seen her cry. Bawling tears, running down the stairs saying, Sissy's dead, Sissy's dead. And I couldn't comprehend death. I was only in like 3rd grade. So, but that's There's things I miss about her, but not too much because, again, I don't want to throw her up under the bus. I don't want social media to know that she was just always a bad guy. The things that I did appreciate is, of course, like taking us to charity newsies, making sure that we had cakes on top of the refrigerator, making sure that we were fed, and taking us to the flea market every first of the month. Sitting in lines at the food stamps, getting the paper food stamps. So there's there's good memories there. They're adventurous memories, but as the older we got, the more, when drugs started coming into play, and my mother was, God rest her soul, but soon the crack epidemic happened, she was a part of it. Non-stop. And I had to witness a lot of bad shit. So, yeah, my mom's a ride. She's a roller coaster. Your mother?
Well, what I've shared with you before, my mom was a very gifted pianist, and she composed music. And as I was growing up, very often in the middle of the night, probably around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, she would go to the piano because she couldn't sleep, and she would compose music. And so I would be awakened by the piano. And it's something that I would give probably anything to be rudely awakened by the piano sometime. My mom playing it. Probably not anybody else, but that's a special memory that I have. Another weird thing, and I know you've said you hate the laundromat, but I love going to the laundromat because it reminds me of my mom. Not that we went all the time. I mean, we were middle class white people in America. We had washer and dryer, but there were times either it would go down or she'd want to wash the bedding, and we would go to the laundromat, and she would, buy the snacks out of the vending machine, and there were all the good smells from the fabric softener, and I just really enjoy that to this day.
I hated it.
I know.
I couldn't stand it because, look, the problem with me is that I'm a major gamer. Since things has been going on, it's been kind of slowing down. But I didn't have a console at that time during the early '80s and mid '80s, unless I got dropped off at my babysitter's house. One of my mother's drug dealing friends that used to travel together and hustle and sell whatever. She would babysit me from time to time because I could be around the first of the month. My mom would hook her up, and she had an Atari. So that was my escape from reality. So when we would go to the laundromat, again, on the first of the month, the only time we could, it was like an all-day event. They had one arcade cabinet in there. It was like Centipede, and that was it. And there was a flea market next door. That's the 99-cent Infinity store that you go to.
I love that store.
Okay, so that's Northern Lights here in Columbus, Ohio, on Cleveland Avenue. So back in the 80s, there's a huge flea market. And it was an internal flea market, so it wasn't no outside stands or anything like that. So it was like a mall. You go get your ninja weapons and all that was there. They had the booths like that. And then they had a couple arcade cabinets in there too, which was Vigilante and I think like Tempest or Dig Dug. But anyways, my mom would never give me any change to play none of these games while I had to sit still and wash clothes for like hours on end. And then I could just escape and go to the flea market, walk around and see, people's vendors and everything, but never could play an arcade game. But she would always have the coins in her hands, putting it in the machine. So why couldn't I do the same thing? It was torment. I was, okay, so walking around a flea market with no money, right? Walking around, no change in your pocket, and you're forced to window shop, which led to me kind of becoming a booster later on in my early young man days. But anyways, But it was hell on earth dealing with laundry day with my mom. I could not, because, she's a turbulent woman. That woman was, you just had to do what she told you, and that's just how we have to honor our mothers. So sit still, be quiet, and shut up.
So I know you said you think more of your grandma as your mom, really,
Yeah.
when you think of your mother figure.
Yeah.
What do you miss about grandma?
Just being able to talk to her about anything and showing her anything. It's just like I could just pop in a movie that I knew that's not going to offend her. Or I could just show her a video game. Oh, we could just talk about anything. And I miss cooking for her. That's when she knew I was going somewhere with my life. Is she kind of watched me grow up in the food industry and saw me start a food truck and came to it the first day it was open, and she ate the stuff, and she said, and she looked at me, she's like, boy, when you make this food, it has to taste good. So apparently it didn't, and I learned from that. So every year just kept upgrading and updating my recipes, and yay, things I miss about my grandmother, inspiration.
Ready for the next question?
I really go ahead.
Do you want to ask one?
Do I want to ask a question? What
Yeah.
do we have on this list? Oh, you don't need it. What's the thing that you admired most about your mother?
Oh, there's so much. She gave a lot of herself to other people, which as I was growing up, I didn't really understand. But as I've become older, I get it. And I think if you have a mother who sometimes isn't always present, she also had MS, so there were limited numbers or hours during the day that she was really on top of things, probably about 6. And so she would go to work, she'd come home, and she'd just kind of fall into the bed, and if we wanted to spend time with her, we were sitting in the bedroom with her watching TV or whatever. But she never gave up on anything, and so I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, can we swap moms? That'd be awesome. You get Jan and I get.
I wonder how different we would be.
I think she'd probably be pimping you out because you're so young and cute. I'm not joking. I'm freaking serious. But nah, she would turn you into a clone of herself. Because I saw her do this to my cousin April, and she it was crazy how she was grooming her to know. It's so funny about this Mother's Day episode. We have the good witch mother, and then I got the bad witch mother. But it's
but it's all in line. So we didn't really talk about what the intent of this podcast is, but it's really talking about a subject from different perspectives.
exactly.
So I'm the white girl, Marquand's the black guy.
Not every black guy has a bad mother or hustler, addict.
Well, not every
no.
white girl has a good mother.
No, they don't, and I've
So-
seen those before too. So, but I think it's just crazy. It's polar opposite day on Mother's Day.
That's true.
So,
Eventually we'll bring Shiva in, but not today.
not today. When we touch a moment when I start to speak so much, he'll get tired of me speaking, and his consciousness will override mine. So it won't be the same personality. It'll be someone older, very lower in tone. If you've seen my early videos, this has been done before, but I don't like to display it. I think when we go online and we do the channeling thing like Bashar or Abraham Hicks or other channelers, I think it's our duty to be able to bring this to the public, that knowing that there is a connection that's dealing with trauma or meditation or just even detachment from, having a near-death experience. So people can get tapped, and it happens, and it happened to me. And so Shiva will come in because it'll always probably happen towards the end of the podcast. He'll come in because he'll just get sick of me talking because he'll just come in cocky and just say, Mark Juan, shut up, I got this. So
what do you admire about your mom?
My grandmother or my mother?
Well, I'm going to ask about your mom first.
No, let's stick with mom because it's not Grandmother's Day, it's Mama's Day. Or Mama's episode. Mother's Day episode. The one thing I admire about my mom, she's the only woman that I know that never worked a day in her life, and she's always had a house and a vehicle. Always driving a new vehicle off the lot. That was due to her capers and hustling. I'd never seen anything like her.
Well, knowing your story, that I'm not surprised that you would say that, because the thing that popped into my head thinking about your mom, even though I never met her, was she was damn resourceful.
I don't even you look in the dictionary, that's her picture right there when it says resourceful. It's Janice Moorhead, Anita Moorhead, and she's an actual legend. She's done a lot of crazy heists. It's weird. I've seen her. It all started when I started realizing what she was doing, and how we started getting new appliances. And I'm like, okay, but that's when she was with my brother's dad, my middle brother's dad, Tony. So when she was with him, he worked at Bob Evans, but they were both motorcycle club members for the Flames. I mean, not the Flames, but Rare Blood here in Columbus, Ohio. So I would always see them in biker outfits and everything. But then this is right before crack really hit. It didn't really get to Columbus, Ohio, not that fast. It was more weed and cocaine than anything. But I would just see her keep coming up after they split up, after the crack epidemic. Somehow she bounced back. And in the 90s, she was just having houses. She could move anywhere. She would have new cars. She would switch the tags off. I've seen her, most people doing the whiteout on the old tags and all that. She'd keep extending. That's what I admire about her. She's a true, genuine freaking hustler. She's no joke. I can't put her side by side like the movie Precious and her mother. They're not even comparable in any way. Janice Moorhead's like a mob boss, but by herself, with a whole legion of demon helping her. It is insane. And so that's what I admire about her. Is she never worked a job in a day of her life ever. She did one time and worked for a grocery store. We moved on the South End back in 1998 at the end of it. This after she put me in jail, and I still came back and lived with her. That's crazy. So, when we were on the South End, she had this job at right across the street from us at this grocery store. She worked there for 2 weeks. First time I ever seen her work. I thought she was actually going to keep the job until she was robbing them. She got fired real quick and almost went to jail about it. So, because she's just shortchanging the drawer every day, because Jan would be coming in with money. And I'm like, there's no way they're paying you every day. What qualifies your mother?
That might be qualities.
Is that qualities? Qualifies. I can't read. How you and your mother handle disagreements through tough times?
Well, my mother would tell a story that when I was in high school, because I never, ever talked back to my mom. And she remembered a time when she knew that I disagreed with her, and she could just see it in my face, but I wouldn't say anything. Because it just wasn't allowed. Like, when I was growing up, because she had MS, she was diagnosed with MS when I was about 7, and the message I always got was, don't upset your mother, because it could put her back in the hospital, right? It could cause the MS to rear its ugly head, and then she wouldn't be around for months. So I just learned very early not to disagree, and I can't remember ever having an argument with my mother.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy, right? I've become a lot more outspoken, but I think you would probably agree that disagreeing with people, like getting into arguments, I think we might have had 2 arguments in 3 years.
Yep.
And they were really short.
Yeah, because I'm too old to keep arguing. I'm a firecracker. Like, I'm like a light switch. So it don't take much to set me off. I just want things to be in the right position, in the right place, and everything just being peaceful, and everything being cool. And we don't all live these type of lives. Like, we all can live a turbulent life. It's just good to just be calm and as much as possible. That's why I smoke a lot of weed, because it's dealing with people can suck. And being in relationships, I've been in relationships where I was arguing at the top of my lungs with my past ex-girlfriends, and had a body slam one to the ground one day, and had to do judo moves just to get her to calm down. Like, there's no reason to freak out. And I freak out about a black cat here eating stuff. It steals the food.
Ozzy alone.
It's just one of them things, things that you have to disagree to agree with. Like my mom, my grandmother or my mom, you just don't, in the black community and culture, you just don't do that. Especially if you're raised by a very stern, single parent grandmother or mother. But as time progressed, as I became a young grown man, and I started seeing what my mom was doing and how she was manipulating people and lying about everything, and I had to disagree with her by yelling at my own mother. Never raising my hand up to her, never ever threatening her in any way physically, until I threatened her to get the hell out of my house one day when they were using up resources while I was locked up in jail. And that was a fun time. It's the only time I ever disagreed with my mother about anything as most as everything. It's like, you are here. Rent hasn't been paid in over 3 months. I'm about to get evicted and lose everything right when I get out of work release. You're going to have to do something. Make up for this. And she did. And she moved out because I've never had to yell at my mom ever. And it wasn't about disagreement; it's just about being right. And it was a tough time for her, and it was definitely a hectic time for me. But I got my house back into peace. So that's another story for another podcast for another day. After what happened after that, when I got peace again, then everything started happening once you start helping people. But my mom helped out a lot, so I can't say whenever I was homeless, she always brought me in because she knew I knew where the weed was at, so I was always smoking weed, and she was going to benefit off of smoking with me.
So what was the other question I wanted to ask? Is there anything about your mother that people don't know but you wish that they did know?
Is there anything about my mother that people don't know I wish them to know?
Mm-hmm.
Not to ever meet her. Don't meet my mom. She'll con you. Stay away from her.
So she was an attractive, dynamic, compelling woman.
Yeah. She was always talking, constantly. And she would She would talk you out of your rent. She'll talk you out of your draws. She'll talk you out of your keys to your car. She's a talker. She had hella charisma. But the one thing that was funny growing up with her, I started seeing this at the bars that we were always going to together while she was hustling pills and selling whatever. People started like they would see her come in the bar and then they would start moving to other different tables and stay out of her path, because she'll just come up to you, start talking to you. Once she knows your name, she thinks you're basically her best friend, and she expects you to be, her to be your best friend. And people just would stay. They'd start leaving when Jan would come. It was nuts. And she would tell me about who she's about to go hustle, this dude she was having sex with, and she's about to go deal with him at the end of the bar. And they just start migrating and leaving and disappearing when Jan's around. Because I used to see she'd just get drunk and badger, and it was a mess. So that it would be entertaining, but it just knew that people don't want to be around you, and I don't either. And I didn't. I begged my grandmother to always let me to come over and spend the night every weekend when school was out. I did not want to be at Jan's house. So it's hard to call it mother.
So, again, my mom was probably the complete opposite. Everybody wanted to be around Betty, right? She was... My parents were really involved in the church. She composed and performed her own music, and she was always so gracious and caring. But that was the side that people saw.
Mm-hmm.
The side I saw was that, but I also saw the mom that threw bowls and shattered them on the kitchen floor when she was upset. So she had
a bitch fit.
She had
A bitch.
I think it was my first real exposure to understanding that people are different depending on the people they're around and the situation that they're in. Like I have a work persona. I have my gaming persona with you, the girlfriend persona. I'm a mom to David, and I think people really, we tend to take things at face value and only expect what we expect to see. And if we see something different, then that can be a little jarring. But there are lots of people that have talked to me about, like, oh, your mom was just so wonderful. And I'm like, yes, she was wonderful. But she was also, she could be very volatile. So.
That's pretty much every mother and every species of female on the planet. Especially
Not just female. Don't call us out. Men are like that too.
I'm not saying from that perspective. I'm saying a motherly intention. Like every female aspect of this universe is going to protect. It's going to lash out. It's going to defend. I even seen my mom do it, and I was proud of her about it. Like, yeah, my mom loves me. So it just, So don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying, there's fathers that do the same thing. We all have a protective quality about us. We want to make sure the home is safe and our kids are safe. Trust me, I would whoop somebody's ass over your son.